extraordinaire.
Every day I'm cuffing it.
So, are you watching Duke versus North Carolina?
That's exactly what I'm doing right this very second.
Your Crunchyroll tip worked out, and I used the Best Buy Plus member, whatever that tier is, for 60-day free premium Crunchyroll. So me and the youngest could watch Demon Slayer, because
I can just get it done in 60 days.
They are all in for Demon Slayer, so here we are. Even though the first monster was like that one that was hiding its neck, and it was like, and my child came and curled up with me like, Daddy, that thing's scary. I was like, yeah, it is scary.
Let me know when y'all get caught up, and the movies come out in the movie theaters in September.
Okay, we will be caught up by then. I guarantee you that, because they will not let up off of me. Dad, let's watch Demon Slayer. It's very good, and the dub is not bad. I was enjoying the sub a little bit more, but the part about that I was not enjoying was reading aloud the audio cues.
Yeah.
That killed it for me. I was like, we got to find something else here. I don't mind this for 2 episodes, but I also want to enjoy this, so let's figure out something where we both can just understand it, and I'll keep subtitles on, and we can go from there.
I mean, the VA they got for Tanjiro is pretty good, so.
Yeah.
Damn, I got 6th place.
No, I haven't not enjoyed Tanjiro. It's not as good as the Japanese, I believe, but it's...
usually nothing ever is.
Yeah.
Usually.
It's fine. It's definitely serviceable, right? Which is all I'm after. To where I don't have to read it. Does that make me a bad father that I didn't want to read the whole... We do existential parental.
You're trying to read it too, or you're trying to read it and comprehend it as you're trying to read it to her and keep up with what you're reading and
right. I'm enjoying the content too.
Trying to watch the show.
All right, so Morant Baki, our previous thing doesn't work because I can't do the /join, but I can do it afterwards, right?
Hold on.
Is that all I needed?
Just finished my race.
It didn't work. I think it's because we're not in the right group.
How so?
How do we do that? How do we fix this?
What you talking about, Willis?
This is just a call with the 3 of us, right? And Craig is not in this one. I think we need to switch.
Okay, so...
How do we do that real fast?
I don't know. How do we go back to that? Because all I did was hit the call button.
Inside our NOFODcast thing? All right, go to the NOFODcast general channel. I will be there waiting for you.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Yes, it's just in...
See Morant Baki.
It's in our server. That's the thing. We got to do it in a server.
Yeah.
I see me.
I think I just clicked Joel's.
No, you're good. Because I don't have to do much. I don't have to do hardly anything on this other end. We're good. But I will do suggested activities.
Right, enjoy that show, Brant.
Which show?
Did the stream just hand off naturally, the same thing? There it is. There it is. Now we know we're in the right spot. Now we know. All right. Show chat. /join. Enter.
Now recording.
Now recording.
There he goes.
That's exactly what we needed.
There's old Craig.
Now recording. But I have to hide the chat now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, anybody with us is suffering through the growing pains. That's what it feels like. All right, we're good. All right, that's why the NOFODcast logo was so much smaller. Okay, I'm caught up. I think we're good. Let's go. And I've done one editing session of this, and I'm super pumped on the abilities of the editing session. That audio, did y'all listen to the last episode? Cesar,
Yes.
no, you were flipping through it. Brand, did you listen?
Yeah, I listened to it. Yeah.
The audio quality was an immediate upgrade.
Very much so.
Almost feel like we've been slumming it somehow. Here we go. We are being recorded, right? Yes.
Maybe.
Yes, we are. How do we stop it? If I have to stop it, you remember how we do that?
Yeah, just go to the
Stop recording. That's it.
Chat.
Yeah, there it
Yeah,
is.
stop recording.
We're good. We're golden.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 340 of the NOFODcast. We are No Outside Food or Drink, the Southeast premier video game, and I got nothing for this one.
Heavy machine gun.
Sound clip podcast. If you're not hearing this on the audio feed, which is our bread and butter, join us every week on Twitch or YouTube and get the soundboard that friend of the show. Sorry, you're not a friend of the show. Yes, Mario Death Theme. Actual participant and co-founder of the show, Cesar Concepcion II, has created a soundboard for us as he sits back in his chair. You're like slouched back in your chair. It's actually pretty good though.
Dang it, Bobby.
Has compiled for us, and you can hear all the glorious sound clips he's contributing, which are not going to be on the audio feed. But we highly encourage you. Thank you for listening to us on iTunes or SoundCloud or iHeartRadio or Spotify or wherever you've heard us. But please join us every weeknight. I don't know, it's random. Just follow us on Twitch and YouTube, and you'll see a go live notification, and then you will see when we are actually recording. But round of applause. We are here. We are again doing this new format, and it seems to have worked last time. So thank you for hanging out with us during our growing pains. We have some news tonight.
We are back, baby.
Chrono Trigger
Fucking back. We're back.
turns 30. About 5 years older than Brant. Death Stranding 2 details and release date. As Brant cringes at me like he's not baby Brant. Is the Oblivion remake around the corner? Question mark. Portable Xbox project? Question mark. Oh God, we have so many question marks. I like it. Silent Hill F. I read this initially in the news as Silent Hilf. So take that as you need. Brant laughs. He's known a Hilfer too. Haven't we all? And we have your March PlayStation Extra and Premium Games. I'm one of your hosts, Richard Bergman, joined tonight by Newsmaster Brant McKee.
What's up?
Brant, thank you for climbing that hill and creating news for us. Was it harder going up the hill or down the hill?
Curating the hilf.
We'll appreciate a well-curated hill.
Always easy to go down the hilf.
Oh, then there's that. Also here, our resident lore master, and what did we give you last time, Cesar? Soundboard master?
Sound master.
Yeah, sound master.
Sure.
Our resident lore master and sound master, Cesar Concepcion II. Cesar, welcome.
Hello.
Cesar, have you had any memorable hilfs in your time?
Jesus Christ.
The remake is your favorite Silent Hill
remake.
Silent Hill
Oh,
remake
dude.
specifically. We know a friend of the show Renee loves the Silent Hill that was on Wii with the radio coming through the speaker and such. That was a good one. Let's jump straight into this news. And apparently my shit is out of order. Brant, can you take this Chrono Trigger one? Because I don't have it up for some reason. Chrono Trigger's 30. Tell me about it.
Say it should be easy with all the hilf talk to have your news up.
Getting over the hill. I don't know. I didn't have that one for some reason.
Hmm.
There we go. All right, here we go. From VGC.com, VideoGamesChronicle.com, and Jordan Midler. As iconic RPG Chrono Trigger turns 30, Square Enix promises commemorative projects. Fans have requested a remake of the classic RPG for years. Says the sub-lead, byline, what is that called?
But yeah.
Square Enix has said that it plans to release, quote, various projects related to Chrono Trigger to celebrate the game's anniversary. The RPG turns 30 this year, and to mark the occasion, Square Enix has announced that it will launch several, quote, projects, end quote, around the franchise. It's unclear what these projects will manifest as, but be that a new game, merchandise, or a release of the original title on new platforms. I today listened to a YouTube broadcast of Chrono Trigger orchestra music. That was on the official Square Enix Music YouTube channel. I'm assuming that was part of the festivities. But it wasn't like a live stream. It was just a live channel playing the same loop. Because the bit that I was listening to said Sunrise, Guardia Fair, and Gato's theme. And I'm like, that's from the beginning of the game. I don't think this is 10 hours in. So I'm assuming it was just on some sort of loop.
Yeah.
Quote, as we mark the 30th anniversary, we will be launching various projects that go beyond the world of the game over the next year to express our gratitude to everyone who has played Chrono Trigger so far. So please look forward to it, Square Enix wrote on its social media channels. You think they would have dropped the please look forward to it moniker from any of their press releases, right?
Right.
Fans have long requested a remake of the classic RPG. However, outside of the ports to modern systems, the game hasn't been revisited as frequently as Square's main RPG series, Final Fantasy. Chrono Trigger was originally released in 1995 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The game was developed by the Dream Team, a fan name given to the trio of developers involved in the project. They included Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi, Dragon Quest creator Yuji Horii, and the late Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama. They talk about Chrono Cross. They talk about the Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers Edition. Gentlemen, what is our fondest memories of Chrono Trigger? And why do we love it? Who here loves Chrono Trigger?
It's just one of the classics. You feel like at this point they would have put it into that 2.5D remake engine that they've got going or something.
I saw recently, and I think this was via Reset Era or Reddit, that 2D, 3D thing is like very expensive. It's not the lever switch, yeah. Because the discussion started around Final Fantasy 16 sales, how it just reached like 3 million or something. Like it's not
5.
It reached 5 with the PC adaptation and everything.
3.5.
3.5. Oh God, sorry. Let's try to give it. I love that game, so I'm here to defend it all day. I thought Final Fantasy 16 was amazing.
I'm sure it'll hit 5 million when it finally comes to Xbox. So.
The stuff I was reading in Reset Era made it sound like they were not in a hurry to, based off of the sales of these games. They weren't. PC didn't light it up. It was like less than 500,000 sales on PC since it released, and they just weren't. They weren't bullish on getting sales on the Xbox side either. I mean, I say release it on Xbox. Let it come to the next Switch. More people should play that game.
Yeah, I think that's what that Nate the Hate guy said, that they were more concentrating the Final Fantasy 7 remakes versus getting 16 on the next Switch also.
But the 7 remakes are not really burning it up, right?
I don't know. I mean, those are what they're really concentrating. I guess they see those are going to sell well on multiple platforms. It sold pretty well on Steam, so.
Even the second one, the Rebirth?
I think so.
I thought its Steam sales were kind of weak.
No, I'm fairly certain. I think people were making fun of it because there wasn't a lot of people playing the game live when it came out, but I think the overall sales were.
I mean, yeah.
What they
and
expected.
who knows when Square Enix says like something didn't meet expectations. Remember back in the day, like Tomb Raider and Deus Ex, they sold like 3 million copies a piece, and it was like, oh, it didn't meet sales expectations. Don't expect another one. It's like, get out of here. Are you serious with that? Chrono Trigger, let's go. Cesar played Slono Trigger, if I remember right. His first playthrough was on the PlayStation.
Yeah, I beat it on PS1. And
on PS1?
I think he gave you everything was in there. The only difference was that it was animated. It did load battles slowly.
Those cutscenes are beautiful.
And then they gave you the ability to save all the endings you unlocked, which I think is something they added later on in the PC release.
And in the DS one too, right? Like the DS is considered a pretty top tier one. I was on a wait list at a local retailer known as Funko Land, which has since turned into a Funko Land. But it was $40. And I was like, this is an expensive Super Nintendo game. I'm on this wait list. Like I gotta experience this. And it turns out my $40 investment back in the day is perfectly fine. But that's a classic game. It's an all-time great. Oh. And I was reading some differences recently. The Super Nintendo version, Frog speaks in like an old English type text box, I guess you could say, like his accent and stuff. And that's not on any other subsequent release unless it's in the PS1 one. But as all this 30th anniversary stuff came out, like I was reading all the articles and reading about the differences in the versions and stuff like that. Brant, what's your experience with Chrono Trigger? Often.
Shoot.
I've never finished it. I honestly have started it on every console, and I have never finished it.
It's one of those that just the same as a lot of the early Final Fantasies. It blows you away with the depth of the game, the depth of the characters, and then the soundtrack, music, of course.
Oh yeah, soundtrack. Way up there.
But it's one of those I've put some time here and there in, but I don't think I've ever beaten that either.
I've gotten the furthest on DS. Like I've been in the last area on DS. And that one includes the anime cutscenes that Cesar was talking about on the PS1 versions. So I've gotten there.
And I've beaten that game. I locked every ending, so
the mobile ports
completionist.
He is definitely the completionist.
Hey man, what did it come with on the PS1 release? Was it Final Fantasy 4?
Yep, yeah. It was Final Fantasy Chronicles that came with Chrono Trigger. Friend of the show, Russell, bought that from either Sam's Club or Costco for like $10 back in the day in those blister packs. That was one of the ones he wanted to grab when we first got our PlayStation 1. He's like, Chrono Trigger's out on this thing, let's get it. It's on CD, it's got to be better. And in some ways it was, and in some ways it wasn't. The iOS and Google Play versions were maligned for quite some time, but I think they've patched out any issues that were out there for those. So if you want to play Chrono Trigger, it's on iOS and Google. You can play you some Chrono Trigger. You guys want to see a remake of that game in that HD 2D method, despite them saying it's super expensive?
I mean, at least a re-release. Put it on modern consoles.
Yeah.
Just like they did with the original Final Fantasies. I don't know if they need to go as far as like a pixel remake or anything like that, but I'm sure they could port that PC version that's on Steam, get that running on Switch, PS5, Xbox.
I don't know how go ahead.
Yeah, because I think it's
just at the very least, but yeah.
I don't know how you would do this, but I almost feel like we need a Criterion collection for games where they select, maybe it's like a Digital Eclipse or somebody, where we identify like a Library of Congress type thing, right? Like maybe the 50 to 100 formative pieces of our medium. And those games are forever forward compatible. We always have access to them, right?
Yeah.
No matter what comes out, Windows 12, Windows 18, Xbox 19, PlayStation 50, Nintendo Switch, Super Switch 70. These things are going to carry forward, and you're going to be able to either buy it again or borrow a copy or rent or whatever the terminology is for media distribution at that time. But you have access to these Mount Rushmore titles, and I'm not saying just 4 games, right? But these defining, genre-defining, medium-defining games where you have access to them. I think that would be the dream. We've talked about before. You can watch Casablanca. You can watch The Rock. So for some reason, I thought of The Rock as like this top tier movie medium. Brand, you can shake your head. It is what it is.
The Rock.
The Rock. Welcome to The Rock.
The Rock.
But like, we have no issues discovering these films over and over again, right? Like they're always available in this next format, and it doesn't matter if you have a Panasonic player or a Toshiba player or a Sony player. After that, you're gonna have access to whatever that medium is. After the HD DVD Blu-ray thing, we settled that. It turns out, but I definitely think this is one of those games that deserves that. For those that don't know, it's a time traveling RPG with like a Final Fantasy type active time battle meter at the bottom. The cool thing is that as your party members move in and out of the party, you can change. What did they call those? Were they group attacks or chain attacks? You can save up your individual specials essentially and use like a combo of 2 or 3 at a time to do those like special attacks and stuff. And it was way ahead of its time. It was a maybe a PS2 or Xbox game, kind of stuck on the Super Nintendo. Like it was well ahead in story and composition and scope of the Super Nintendo. It was well ahead of that. Hopefully a remaster is part of this 30th anniversary news.
One would hope, but I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll push out just another iOS version or something, another mobile version of the game.
That 2D HD, the more I think about it, the more it would benefit. Like keep it faithful to what it was.
Oh yeah.
And just update that to modern platforms and make it available to more people. iOS and Google is an easy entry level, but make it the best version of that. Not my thing, and you may be the same thing, is like when I look up a certain game, like let's say Chrono Cross, it's part of that Radical Dreamer collection. Is this the best version of that? I don't want to be stuck in this loophole of, I have it on PlayStation 1. Should I play it on PlayStation 1? Should I download this version? Like, which one is I don't want to get stuck in, is this a better version outside of accessibility? Like, yes, this is the new Chrono Trigger. It came out 30 years ago. We've updated it across everything. This is the one to play. This is the one you want to have. There's no compromises in this version of Chrono Trigger. That would be the dream, right?
Yeah.
Brad McKee, you love Death Stranding. I think you are number one Death Stranding.
On the beach.
I couldn't even get through the bit. Sure, you're already on the beach. We go live to Brant McKee, our Death Stranding.
Swatting seagulls.
Yeah, they're all in your face. You're trying to beat them and Conan O'Brien out of your face. He's left over from the first Death Stranding. Brant, what do you got? What's the latest news on Death Stranding 2, and when is it coming out?
So we talked about Kojima being at South by Southwest, which that actually just happened in Austin. I guess it was earlier in the week or over right there at the weekend.
I saw the news Sunday. I didn't feel like that show was going on. Like I didn't see anything else from that show.
So Death Stranding was confirmed to have its June 26, 2025 release date. There were multiple versions of the game announced, including a digital deluxe version at $80 and a collector's version of the PS5 sequel, which includes everybody's favorite early access to the game on June 24th. The collector's edition.
You get to play it 2 days early for an extra.
Yeah, will cost you a whopping $230 and will include a 15-inch statue, Dollman figure art cards, a letter from Kojima, as well as various in-game rewards.
Is it a hand-signed letter?
My guess is it's a generic letter. It might be. Who knows if it's got his signature on it? It's just a printed, his printed signature.
Like we get at work, right, Bikini.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. Here's a printed signature.
They also announced they will be launching a music tour featuring music from both Death Stranding games. And the tour will be worldwide starting in November. Death Stranding Strands of Harmony will visit Los Angeles, Austin, Chicago, Seattle, Newark, Boston, Toronto, Montreal, London, Paris, Berlin, Milan, Bangkok, Singapore, Seoul, Shanghai, Yokohama, Osaka, and Sydney. Tickets will be available on the official website.
All right, boys, where are we going? Chicago?
Let's reach for the stars. Let's go to Sydney.
Sydney? Damn. All right. Thank you guys for your Patreon funds. What was that, Cesar?
I didn't say anything.
I thought you chimed in.
Mm.
Anywhere there's a beach, we have to experience the music of Death Stranding on the beach.
It's a long ass flight to Sydney, isn't it?
Right.
Be on the plane for a minute.
Grueling.
I don't know about that one. So that gives us 3 months to play through the first Death Stranding. Cesar, I think you mentioned it a couple weeks ago. We might be interested in firing this up. You doing this?
Yeah, I've been playing it.
You have been playing it. Oh, he's in the Death Stranding.
Have you been bridging the gap? Delivering the
Sand bridges?
the sand bridges?
The year this came out, it made my games of the year list on this show. So I know it struck me as something wildly new and unique, and I just never went back to it after that. I don't know what it was. Something else came out, whatever normal distractions. We're 340 episodes in. Everybody knows how easily distracted I am, but I loved every minute of what I played. The intro's a little slow, but after that, it's just it's really solid, and you never know what's coming next. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, which is a strange subtitle. June 26th of this year. 3 months to go. Next up in news, if it'll pull up, Bethesda's Oblivion.
I'm going to say this is what you asked for specifically.
Oh man, I'm all in. As soon as I saw this, I said in our chat, Brent, add this to the news now. Bethesda's Oblivion Unreal Engine 5 remake could be releasing sooner than you think. Xbox's long-expected Elder Scrolls update is reportedly set for reveal soon. The Oblivion remake was first mentioned by an alleged developer back in 2023 before being named in a leaked court document the same year. Now, according to noted insider, friend of the show, we mentioned them before, Nate the Hate, the Oblivion remake is set for reveal in the coming weeks, a claim VGC has corroborated with our own sources. Says VGC, I'm quoting this, of course. Nate claims the game will likely release before June, while sources have told VGC it could arrive as soon as next month. The Oblivion remake is understood to be developed by Virtuos. They are specialists at this. Established in 2004, Virtuos is one of the largest game makers in the world. It focuses on supporting the development of major AAA games or bringing existing titles to new platforms. The company has previously worked on franchises including Call of Duty, Tomb Raider, Dark Souls, BioShock, Battlefield, Uncharted, and Horizon, and is currently supporting Konami's development of the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. Big one you could have put in there is Final Fantasy. I believe they did the Final Fantasy X 10-2 remake, right? That was Virtuos? It was not Virtuos? Brent's squinting at me like, I don't think it was.
It might have been.
I think it was. The Oblivion remake is reportedly, quote, fully remade, end quote, with Unreal Engine 5, with 6 reworked gameplay systems: stamina, sneaking, blocking, archery, hit detection, and HUD. What were y'all going to say about Virtuos? They did the Batman remasters too, right? Or am I just totally like fired in the dark here? I feel like they had their hands in both of those. Two varying degrees of success. I think most of the Final Fantasy X 10-2 remakes are enjoyed.
Batman Return to Arkham.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. Assassin's Creed Ezio Collection.
Oh, they did the Ezio Collection. Interesting. I don't think I knew that.
Says they were in that Dark Souls remaster, Final Fantasy,
10-2.
It says 12.
Oh, they did Zodiac Age?
Yeah,
that was a big undertaking too. 10 and 10-2 was regarded as a solid remaster. They did some interesting things with the character models and the skyboxes from PS2 and stuff like that, but no one would say that's not a good way to play the game.
I think it looks like they were involved in the BioShock collection there as well.
Interesting. I've bought that for everything. I don't think I've seen their name on the credits.
10 and 10-2 HD remaster. Yep.
I honestly think I own that BioShock collection on every available platform, which is kind of sad. I think I have supported the BioShocks on everything. They go into details in this article on VGC about changes to the game. VGC reported back in October 2021 that Virtuos was working on a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3. The report was finally confirmed in May 2023 when Konami officially announced that Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, will release for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. It later confirmed that Virtuos was co-developing the game. How do we feel about Oblivion Unreal Engine 5 remake, gents?
Why not?
I'm all in.
It's been a while.
I love
it was wizardry to run on the original Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Or 360. That was one of the first games. Yeah, that was one of the first games I looked at, and I was like, oh, God, this is not possible in what we came from. I don't think you could play this on GameCube or PS2 or Xbox. And that was coming off Morrowind, and Morrowind was a huge lift for the original Xbox. This is back in the day. I'm the old man yelling at this guy. It's 2025. Some of our listeners may be on the younger end, and these generational shifts were much more noticeable than now, right? You had these huge shifts in either graphical prowess or display type. Like that specifically was around the era of going from SD, like standard definition, to HD display types. You started having like Morrowind on the Xbox leverage the hard drive. So all of a sudden you had games taking advantage of having a hard drive either in the computer or the console. And Oblivion was an early 360 game that just really stood out. You play through that intro level like in the sewer, and once you get out of there and you're in an open world, I remember playing that and thinking, oh wow, this is different than anything else I've played. Like, this is fully next gen. I can go anywhere here. And even when it came for PS3, like PS3 early on was just a desert of content, and you were just waiting for anything. And then Oblivion came to PS3, and that was a huge get early on for it. I bought it day one for PS3 when it came out. Do you guys have any similar experience with Oblivion or opinions or playtime with it?
I mean, heck, at least we're getting a different Elder Scrolls game instead of
not another Skyrim. Yeah. On VR, are they going to port now that I have a PSVR 2, are they going to port Skyrim to PSVR 2 and let me play it on that thing?
I was going to say, isn't there already a version of
for the first PSVR?
Yeah. Need to put it on there.
Yeah. Cesar, you famously have not played a whole lot of Elder Scrolls. Do you have any intrigue by the Unreal Engine version?
None whatsoever.
None whatsoever. He shoots it down. It'll be the prettiest one.
Just remember the pre-orders for the 360 when you get the horse armor.
Yeah, you did. Because that was 1,000 Microsoft points, which was $10 for stupid horse armor.
Horse armor DLC.
I mean, this one had Patrick Stewart as part of the cast, and Sean Bean was a character who may or may not die in the story campaign. I loved Oblivion. What's that?
Sean Bean always dies.
Spoilers. Yeah, his character doesn't go so well.
Like
like
Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, pretty much.
Steve Buscemi always lives in an Adam Sandler movie.
He always does.
Yeah,
he's always one of the best characters
in an
Adam Sandler movie.
He gets to live.
Mm-hmm.
Oblivion is like this. It's like their hell, right? It's a cross plane of existence, and in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, the gates of Oblivion are opening across Cyrodiil. So it's the imperial capital of what do they call that? Cyrodiil's the capital. Skyrim, Morrowind, they're all regions of the same area. Oh man, I should.
Yeah, if only we played more ESO, we would know.
I know, right? That would explain all of it. But these gates of Oblivion are opening all over Cyrodiil. So the campaign has you immediately. There's one open that's more of a straightforward, like here's how you do this, and then it gets more complex later on. But your role as the character is to close these gates of Oblivion, because daemons and hellspawn and all that sort of thing are coming out of these gates. And I just love that premise and how these things would pop up. And like the logo you see for Oblivion, that 4 is that's what the Oblivion gate looks like. Like that's what the things are coming out of. And I've always loved games with parallel universes. Like Cesar talks about heist games and like isekai style and time warping and things like that. I love an alternate universe like Link to the Past, where this dark world is coexisting on top of the light world. And Oblivion really, I feel like, mastered that level of this portal to hell is gonna stay open and spill all these bad things out unless you go in there and close it. And like any other Elder Scrolls game, you can go do that or you can go do something else. And
don't worry, they're gonna re-release your Medieval Doom later on.
I'm okay with Medieval Doom also. I want to play this one. Dark Ages? That's what you're talking about? Mm-hmm. Is that the next story? Is that a segue? Cesar, do you want to play the Medieval Doom on a portable Xbox, potentially?
He already has a portable Xbox.
Yeah, we do, right? This is not a thing for us. Also from VGC.com, VideoGamesChronicle.com, Andy Robinson reports the first portable Xbox could reportedly hit shelves this year. Asus built Project Keenan. I read this first as Keenan, and that was out there for a long time, and then I feel like this week they corrected it to Kinnan. Project Kinnan reportedly aims to offer, quote, a universal library of Xbox and PC games. That's according to The Verge, which claims that Microsoft is working on a handheld with manufacturer Asus called Project Kinnan, which aims to offer, quote, a universal library of Xbox and PC games, end quote. Asus's Xbox-branded handheld could debut later this year, it's claimed, but because any such launch is reliant on Microsoft's platform work, timelines could change. The platform work is reportedly codenamed, quote, Project Bayside, end quote, and aims to deliver, quote, a common Xbox UI across multiple devices that help combine Windows and Xbox, end quote. The alleged plans follow comments from Microsoft's VP of, quote, next generation, end quote, Jason Ronald, who said earlier this year that any future handheld device would combine, quote, the best of Xbox and Windows, end quote. I don't think we need to read the rest of this. What do you guys think about a dedicated Xbox-ish device? Still does Windows? Does Xbox?
I mean, at this point, it seems redundant. We already have so many portable handheld PCs that have hit the market that can pull up Game Pass, that can... I mean... I guess it's no different than them doing their Surface computers and then also having all their competitors have computers. But even, what was it, Asus? Asus that was also making their own handheld. That was announced a little while ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Asus that had like the two SKUs, one that was Windows based and one that was Steam based?
That's right, with the Steam OS is opening up here. Mm-hmm. the portable thing.
The Lenovo one that just came out.
Oh no, that's the Lenovo. There we go.
Is it Go?
It's
is
one
it
of
the
them.
Go series of stuff?
So it's getting a little bit messy because you got Lenovo Go, which has the Ryzen 2 chipset, but doesn't have the Ryzen 2 Extreme set, which it doesn't release later this year. So it doesn't outperform the Ryzen.
Not a super advance on that chipset, right?
Yeah, I mean it's not really worth what's already out there. So
we got Steam Decks. We have the ROG allies that you both constantly tout and tear up all the time. And I mean, at some point, Steam is going to naturally do an update to their handheld. And of course, on the horizon, everybody's looking toward Switch 2 and what new features and things that will bring. But I mean, Nintendo kind of, at the very least, has their platform exclusives to kind of get people there and pull people to their platform, whereas Xbox seems to be just games everywhere is kind of their new mantra. So if you can already play it on the current handheld you have, they're not going to sell you necessarily on another handheld that can do the exact same thing, playing the exact same games you are playing on your current handheld. So
yeah, I mean the only thing that this report came out with, it came out with the Windows Central report. So what's happening here is you got Asus has got their handheld, which is just an Xbox branded handheld, right? They said it doesn't actually integrate the OS like they thought it would, based off that report from Windows Central.
Yeah,
they said it's just something to get out there to kind of promote their PC gaming and Game Pass. The one that they believe that will unite the OSs are the ones that are supposedly coming out in 2027, which is a handheld that's supposed to replace the Series S console, which they're moving away from doing that. They're just going handheld for that version.
Renee's favorite system.
And then the Series X consoles. The Series X consoles are being made by OEM, not Microsoft within themselves. I think they're being skewed out to like Asus, Lenovo, or something like that, where they follow a set specs and build it that way. It doesn't seem like they're. My guess is the only thing they're really building is probably the handheld, and they were outsourcing the rest out. So
like the 3DO model, right, where you had LG or Gold Star, as well as Panasonic and.
So I think supposedly when this Keenan one comes out, the idea is, like they said on here, is it's supposed to use a interface that kind of, like they said, unifies the ability for you to play games from the Xbox ecosystem, which was the whole thing that Sarah Bond was talking about when she made that new team for backwards compatibility, forwards compatibility, and their whole mission is basically find ways to get OG Xbox 360 games being able to run those on PC. So
that's the best eras of Xbox, right? Those first two.
Yeah.
Give me those. So that's how you said what, a dedicated Lost Odyssey box? Lost Odyssey portable?
Yeah, that or Blue Dragon. I mean, outside of the DS games that came out later on, which were sequels.
I'll take both of those portable. That'd be awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I think they said on there before that, like they quoted in this article, Jason Ronald had said that they expect to see that combination between Xbox and Windows happen way sooner before their hardware actually gets out, new hardware. So
Bryant mentioned there being so many like Windows handhelds, and does this even serve a niche? But the branding of Xbox is still carries weight. So if you have a branded Xbox device, I think that still carries mainstream.
I think what you take away from this is the problem is we have those ROGs, we have those other Windows handhelds. It's the bloat. It's the bloat of Windows running as a dedicated gaming handheld. Yeah. You have a lot of services running in there. They need a memory and other stuff on there that's not necessary when you play games. So I think that's their end game is when they go to the UIs. They're trying to find a way to launch something that runs the bare minimum of what you need to run games without having to run all those additional services. at Windows. I think that's what the final game is. Because I know at that point, I mean, I don't even know if a Steam Deck 2 would be attractive to me. Because I mean, at that point, I mean, we have the Asus ROG, the Extreme, the second chips, the Extreme 2 chips are coming out this fall, and they got 64 gigs of RAM supposedly, and OLED screens and 8-inch, and so it's like the hardware on there is ridiculous on these coming out. So
yeah. I love the advancements of the ROG versus the Steam Deck got me into portable PC gaming, right? But the way Asus has been advancing that, and other makers just have been eclipsing that, and Valve has not needed to make another Steam Deck improvement outside of the OLED and its battery improvements and 90 hertz and all that stuff, right? But
and they're about to hit that wall, like you said, with the Switch, where you're going to have a lot of these new games that are not going to run well. So, I mean, we're starting to see some of that now. It's like, Monster Hunter Wilds runs like shit on Steam Deck, and you can get it to run decently on a ROG, but it's still not favorable, but it runs better.
Right.
So,
more options, better for everybody. I'm loving this portable PC space. I would love to see what this portable Xbox looks like and where that space goes. And we talked about a couple episodes ago, the new Sony handheld may be like a PSP type thing. Like, where does that go? Where do they see this going after the success of the Portal? None of these have been flops, right? Between Lenovo, the Asus ROG Ally, the Steam Deck, the PlayStation Portal, they've all been success stories. So there's demand for portable gaming, either locally or remote, or it's there. So hopefully they rise to meet that. Did the Switch set that standard? Do we have the Switch to thank for this portable / docked gaming revolution outside of Cesar Sega Nomad?
I think that lit the fire under everybody.
It showed, and Xbox has leaned more heavily into this than anybody, I think. It's the your games anywhere, everywhere type thing. Nintendo wants you to buy their Nintendo platform to do those things, and they have sold you many of those in order to do that. And Xbox is still reaching out for the service aspect of, hopefully the thing you just bought will play Xbox Game Pass. Download the app and see if it's on there and see if it'll work. Like the Fire Stick and the ROG Ally and Xbox, obviously, and eventually PlayStation, probably, maybe Nintendo Switch.
Like you said, I mean, they give you multiple devices to play your subscriptions. That's how you do a subscription service. So,
right.
That way, if something breaks down, like, oh, I got to go buy this new thing to play this new thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a barrier for you.
Because you have
keep paying that $20 a month. So,
you have an entire generation of media consumers who are used to Netflix on whatever they have. It doesn't matter who made the device that they have. Apple, Google, Samsung, LG, Sony, it doesn't matter. It's going to play Netflix, right?
So Microsoft back in the day, and you had that exclusive right to have that app on your console, and you had to force everybody else to have a disc.
Yeah. I had both a Wii and a PS3 Netflix disc. Are those worth anything?
No, I don't think
they're
those
coasters.
They're coasters. They don't work.
They're
not even valuable. All right, next up. Somebody told me about that Silent Hill. Hills I like, lay, and fantasize.
Silent Hill is never gonna. It's like Fetch. It's not gonna take off. All right, so
Silent Hill is the episode titles. That's what I get used to.
It is. It's not even. Essentially, we had a transmission not too long ago, which they leaked out, I think, a little bit early on the Steam page. But Konami showed a trailer for Silent Hill F, the 8th main entry in the Silent Hill series, and this was announced back in 2022. This is from Chris Scollion from VGC. This is being done by NeoBards, which is a Taiwan-based studio, and they have had their hands in many things. They've ported over Resident Evil 3 and various versions of those, and made other horror games as well. They've kind of like what we talked about here with Virtuals, or like the Tose, where they have their hands in the back on a lot of games, and they don't usually get credit for it sometimes.
But this is their own baby, right?
This one is being made from scratch, and they are using a Japanese author, if I'm not mistaken, to write the story, which is a Ryu Kishio 7. Outside of this takes place in Japan, 1960s. You play as Shimizu Hinako, who's living her life as an ordinary teenager. As she starts to, as the trailer's gone through, this fog and everything comes in, like the staples of the Silent Hill kind of rear its head, and seems like she's taken to another world. This to me looks more like a blend of Silent Hill mixed with Fatal Frame. I don't know the difference anymore outside of you don't take photos.
I was absolutely going to say this seems like a Fatal Frame game to me. That's what I thought immediately.
No, it's Fatal Frame without taking photos and for exorcisms and without the weird incest stuff if you play the third game.
Oh, but, God. Oh, geez.
Yeah, the sister that was an exorcist in that game was 100% in love with her brother who's dead and was haunting her. It was weird.
I didn't know about that. Holy shit.
Yeah. Then he possesses somebody and then they're having a kid. It gets weird. But
oh, Cesar.
Hey man, you want to play Fatal Frame?
Okay.
It's there. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay then.
Fatal incest.
But yeah, so that's it. I mean, I don't think a date's been announced yet. We've got leaked of a cover. I mean, I think it's sometime this year. I think that's when most places have been listed, but it's no different than when Konami listed Metal Gear Delta last year for pre-orders, and then look at behold, it never came out last year. It comes out this year. So outside of that, outside of the trailer for the setting, and you know, coming soon, and I think it's coming to Series consoles, PS5, as well as Steam. I think it's PS5 Pro Enhance, and then I think on the Xbox side, it's an Xbox Play Anywhere title, which is pretty cool. It's one of those ones you'll be able to play on handheld and on your console, and your save will follow you. So, or you can play on your fucking TV or whatever, wherever you're able to stream it as well, depending if you own the game digitally. That's how it works, right? So, oh yeah, down here at the list at the bottom, like Neobards, they worked on Devil May Cry HD Collection, Onimusha Warlords Remaster, and Resident Evil Origins Collection for Switch. More recently, they contributed to Capcom Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. So they've had their hands in a bunch of horror games. So
definitely some Capcom specialists, right?
Yeah, I think they're just Virtuals. Konami. I mean, they're just a support studio. I mean, Virtuals helped make Modern Warfare 3. So Virtuals has been everywhere. So
go look at that trailer. It looks phenomenal. Like this looks really good.
One of the main concepts is to find the beauty in terror, and that trailer does a good job of kind of blending those two of like beauty and horror, because there's a lot of very cinematic shots, very a bunch of like flowers and things, and then it's the total shift with the gruesome horrors that you see pop up on screen afterward. These crazy twisted monsters and mounds of weird fleshy monsters and whatnot. It's very Silent Hill.
And she's armed with like a pipe or something, like a cross section of steel pipe or something, whacking demons with it. Hey, thinking inside the box. Appreciate you joining the show. We were just talking about Silent Hill. What'd you think about Silent Hill? Everybody cringes.
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill.
Climb that hill.
Climbing up that hill. Last but not least.
No.
We have your PlayStation Plus game catalog titles for March. This comes from the PlayStation blog and Adam Michel. Like Ansel Michel from Ubisoft. I just heard of it today, so I was thinking inside the box. Yeah. Watch the trailer. It looks really, really good. That Silent Hill F. I think it looks solid. PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium games. You're going to get UFC 5 for PS5. You're going to get Prince of Persia The Lost Crown for PS4 and PS5. Captain Tsubasa Rise of New Champions PS4. Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation Code Fairy for PS4 and PS5. Arcade Paradise for the PlayStation 4 and the 5. Bang on Balls Chronicles, PS4 and PS5. Brant, what you know about this?
No, banging on some balls. The whole Chronicles.
Become Bob.
Great that we get the whole Chronicles.
So you get a cross-generation ball banging package. Become Bob, a reckless, bouncy hero embarking on a quest of epic adventures and chaos. Bang on Balls Chronicles is a glorious, bouncy 3D platforming and combat game inspired by some of the best in the genre. Bounce between multiple.
Seems like a little Deviants ripoff.
It does, doesn't it? Oh man, I was sold on Little Deviants. I bought that at launch. Bounce between multiple, slightly inaccurate, historically themed open worlds, each with their own unique mechanics, items, and enemies in single-player, two-player split screen, and online co-op up to 4 players. Roll into jam-packed open worlds that let you explore and utterly smash them to pieces in the process. Brant, do you like backing up vehicles?
Always.
Cesar, do you typically pull into your parking spaces?
Possibly.
Both of you guys may benefit from playing You Suck at Parking, coming for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Prepare to take part in the world's most extreme parking experience in You Suck at Parking, the only game where your driving skills aren't as important as your parallel parking skills. Oh god, a Siberia game. Cesar and I tried playing Siberia for thinking outside the box. Have you played any of those Siberia games for the original Xbox? Cesar and I put a couple hours into the first one and
a couple hours is a long stretch.
Never wanted to go back. Is it a long stretch?
That good, huh?
I don't know if we got past the first hour before. Like, this is not good.
So it was maybe 20 minutes and it felt like 2 hours.
It was not good.
Siberia, the world before, is coming to.
And I keep falling for it every time. I was like, "Ooh, Siberian on Switch," and I buy that. I'm like, "Damn, I forgot how much this game sucks."
I think I'm the same way. I buy them on Steam and everything else.
I hear great things about the story, man, and I'm like, it's time for Siberia, man. I'm gonna get into it this time.
No,
I never do.
Thinking inside the box says I have not, but they are on my list. Take them off. Take them off your list. I implore you. Play something else.
I mean, we played the Xbox one, right? Is that the one we played?
Yeah. And Box plays a lot of original Xbox content, especially on the stream. Check out their Twitch channel, Thinking Inside the Box. Great content, a good podcast.
Look forward to the day that he plays Lord of the Rings on Xbox. That was another one with a lot of spiders.
Oh god. There was a trivia on one of the podcasts I listened to. They were talking about Super Nintendo games, and the answer was, do you remember the Lord of the Rings game for Super Nintendo? Either one of you guys play that or remember the title?
That was that weird one with that little 2D one with that weird map that goes through.
That's horrible.
I think I died in that cave so many times. So
it's called Lord of the Rings Volume 1. It sucks shit. And of course there's no Volume 2 or Volume 3. It's bad.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
We played some interesting Xbox ones because we did that Lord of the Rings and what was it, Dinotopia, which was probably the better of the 3.
Dinotopia was not horrible. Siberia did not grab either one of us. Why were we playing those random Xbox games? Was that my Xbox kick?
I think so.
I was just finding random.
I just remember you're like, I hear great things about Siberia. Let's fire it up. And I'm like, after 20 minutes, this is not good, man. I was like,
good, man.
It's like just trying to find a fucking cog for some machine somewhere. Like, man, fuck this.
It's like if Hotel Dusk just completely sucked shit and had no personality.
No, don't. Why? Why would you bring Hotel Dusk in this conversation?
I'm saying that's a good game, and here's not a great one. But definitely check out Thinking Inside the Box's channel. They play a shit ton of original Xbox content, all sorts of stuff, bunch of 360 stuff. I was watching a Lost Odyssey stream earlier. I guess I was late last year.
Ooh.
And definitely got me on a Lost Odyssey kick. No, they got stuck on a boss, and it was like a 2 to 3 day stream, and I was totally invested on watching them beat this boss. Box, we were talking earlier this episode about Play Anywhere, Xbox's initiative on, if you have an Xbox license, you can play it on PC and maybe potential handhelds later on, and the Series S, and just kind of how they're Play Anywhere. Play Anywhere. Is that Sony's thing? Play Anywhere title. Yeah.
When I used to buy Vita, I used to get it on PS3.
Yeah, that's transferring. But how that program could expand, and Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon definitely being good candidates for that. But If you guys are wanting some Xbox and 360 content, thinking inside the box is the way to go. More on this PlayStation blog coming to PlayStation Plus Premium. So this is what we had before, Extra. Now it's Premium.
Yes.
Sure.
Heavy machine gun.
Heavy machine gun. Now that I have a PlayStation VR 2, maybe I invest in this premium tier because there's a couple of PSVR 2 things coming up. Arcade Paradise VR.
I never do. I don't believe you.
What's that?
You say that every time, and you're like, eh.
I don't know. Maybe there's some compelling stuff coming up in this news article, including Arcade Paradise VR. I don't even know what that is. Enter the virtual realm in Arcade Paradise VR. This PSVR 2 title released last year is transporting you back to 1993. Brant, would you want to go back to 1993? Would you be
of course
around?
Yes, I would be around.
Okay, all right. So sorry, would you want to go back to 1993?
Taking the DeLorean.
I think in 1993 I was getting ready to leave Germany.
Leaving your non-PAL NTSC NES behind, or bringing it with you?
I think I vaguely remember a memory. We went to Berchtesgaden over there at the edge of Germany, and that there was a hotel, and I think at the bottom floor of that hotel was just a whole floor full of SNK Neo Geo arcade machines built into the hotel.
I'll go with you. I'll leave my 1993.
That was probably my most fondest memory from Germany. Was that one, and we had a roller rink on the base that had a arcade version of Golden Axe. Played a lot of that.
Oh yes, please both. Give me both of these. My 1993 consisted of my parents divorcing, so I'm probably not headed back that way. I'd rather go to the German one.
Yeah, because then we went to Austria, and then we went to Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia was a ride because we had to stay in a hostel for a couple of days. So before hostel was a bad word. When they
you remember this?
Yeah.
I mean, these are cool memories, though, right? That's not something people have.
I mean, it's right when
ready access to
when the Soviet Union left. So a lot of that stuff was still very Soviet Union-esque or USSR-esque when we were in Czechoslovakia. So.
Featuring 12 fully realized VR cabinets alongside 27 traditionally controlled games from the original release, it's time to play, profit, and purchase your way to your very own arcade paradise. We're also getting Armored Core, the original 1997 PlayStation title.
A lot of Armored Core.
Oh, Brant, that's not the only Armored Core title? What else are we getting?
Armored Core Project Phantom. PS4, PS5.
Project Phantasma. Which one is this?
Wait. Phantasma.
Did we get it as something else? Released in the same year in Japan as the original PlayStation. On the original PlayStation, Armored Core Project Phantasma. That's the second one? That was the subtitle for it?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that was it. Okay. All right, go on.
I think the next Master of Arena is the next one that's important because you play it. Yep. He plays Raven, the character that's in the new Armored Core 6. So. Welcome back, Raven.
Project Phantasma, 1998, and then Armored Core Master of Arena from 1999. Anything special about these? Are they good?
They're difficult. And
I mean, they're from software games, right?
Yeah,
they were doing this even back in the day.
I think this was before they, like the most recent Armored Cores, like 5 and Victory and all those other ones, and 4 tend to be more story based. These ones had some story, but these were more about optimizing your mechs, finding parts, upgrading them to move faster for battles and stuff like that. So,
and they're all good, right? Like, there's never been a bad Armored Core game, I believe. Like, some were more favorably reviewed than others, but they're all pretty solid.
I think the only bad Armored Core game was when they renamed it to Chrome Hounds, I believe.
That was originally an Armored Core game?
I think it's a spinoff.
Oh man, this I was working at retail when Chrome Hounds came out. Someone came back and bought that over and over and over. Like, they bought it, traded it in, and then they were craving Chrome Hounds, and they came back and got it again. Like, that was a big deal for this one customer.
It is according to Wikipedia, it is developed by From Software, and it takes place in an alternate universe instead of actually called Hounds. Yeah,
I never knew that. Can you play Chrome Hounds offline, or is that only online game?
Well, I think it's offline.
Okay,
I think it had a single player mode on that.
Might have to check out Chrome Hounds. Intrigued. Yosoi intrigued. Is that it, Brant? Is that all the games we're getting for PlayStation?
That was it.
That's your extra and premium titles. Renee is here. Renee, welcome. Renee, do you love Armored Core titles as much as Cesar does or Brant does? I think I got that newest one on a clearance sale. Is it pretty solid? Cesar, you were talking about it on the show at one point.
New one's good. I mean, like I said, it. I don't think it follows the Victory one, but story. I mean, the story-wise from 4 and onward have some. Everybody was rushing to buy 4, the 2 versions of 5.
Because is that when they split them across 360 and PS3?
Yeah, I think they were super expensive, man. It was cheaper for me to buy the PS3 versions from Japan than it was to buy the jacked up American ones that were going when Armored Core 6 was coming out. So
it's so weird when we get these like what was it, Nier did like a 360 and a PS3 version. They were totally different. We would get these different SKUs across the 2 platforms.
That one was just they made Nier for Japan and they made Nier for America. That was the difference between that.
So then you got the two differences.
Because which one we get? I think was Gestalt the one we got.
I feel like we did not get that one, but I may be wrong.
Oh wait,
I think it was Replicant and Gestalt, right?
Maybe we got Gestalt.
That's right.
Then you guys would know.
Yeah, because because I think the difference between the one in America we got was that it was a father-daughter relationship versus, and the one in Japan was more of a sister-brother type one.
They changed it that way in the translation?
No, I mean, the character model was completely different. I mean, the character in Japan was a younger kid as the main protagonist, and then it was an older buff dude in the American version.
What was the one we got here as the remaster or the remake of?
Replicant is the one we got here. Yeah, which I think is the one they call in Japan, which I think they made the character based off the Japanese version.
And that's the brother-sister storyline.
More along that line, yeah.
All right, come here for your U.S. versus Japanese game differences.
Yeah, that's when they were going at that weird time when they were trying to appeal to different markets. So,
I mean, we already talked about Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon, but that early 360 era where they were courting more of these Japanese studios was definitely interesting. With Chrome Hounds, another example. That early 360 push was pretty heavy, right? Trying to make that footprint. We done with news? You guys ready to go to games played?
Games played.
I will start at games played. Mostly kind of tinkering around and some small updates on things I've already played and mentioned on the show. The first new big thing was I sent you guys a clip of this. One of the coolest thing in games to me, I grow wary of hearing about, is this native to this or is this the best version? Like when we hear Chrono Trigger, right? What is the best version of Chrono Trigger that's been officially released by Square Enix? And one of the most
you can play.
It is essentially, that's the short answer for Chrono Trigger. But there's other more complicated, like Super Mario Brothers. There's a Game Boy Color version. There's a Game Boy Advance version. There's a Wii U version, which is probably a ROM that was brought from online to Nintendo's official servers. And it just gets to weird shit, right? And I think the way things are going to end up going is native PC ports. I love this exciting new avenue and front of things that have been decompiled to natively work on Windows. We could lob a lot of grenades at Microsoft for various things, but they have done, I think, a good job of forward compatibility for certain things. The most recent NVIDIA update, I think we talked about it last week, dropped a lot of updates for like physics stuff. So it ruled out a lot of old school games, and there's some 32-bit things that are not included in that. But for the most part, if you want to play something backwards compatible, your best bet is to have a Windows or Steam version of that. And as things become non-emulated or they're not running on a FPGA or something like that, I think everybody has a Windows device, right? We all have multiple PCs that play Windows things, and Brent has a 2011 MacBook that also has Windows on it, so he can run some Windows things on there, on Parallels or Boot Camp or whatever he's running.
I mean, even Mac's been pretty impressive with their core GPUs on being able to run PC games without having a native NVIDIA or AMD card on there. They're making headway on that too. So,
and this is with the Apple Silicon, like their Metal or whatever they call it. This is even after the Intel-based Mac stuff. But what I'm leading to is there's been recent PC versions of N64 games. And one of my favorite games of all time is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And that was recently alongside Majora's Mask. It's not Glover. So sorry, the listeners can skip ahead like 10 seconds. It's definitely not Glover. It's also not Episode 1 Pod Racer, but that's also way up there on my list of titles. And it's also not NFL Blitz 2000, but who wouldn't take a native port of NFL Blitz 2000 in the year of our Lord 2025? I would love this. It's a non-official project, of course, but it is called The Ship of Harkinian, and you can download this. I don't even know what you would call this. It's a boot prompt or something, possibly. You have to have an official PAL ROM of Ocarina of Time, specifically the PAL version, which I was able to source from my copy of the PAL version of Ocarina of Time, which I legally own.
Yeah.
And I was able to add that to this Ship of Harkinian. I'm not going to elaborate a whole lot because all I was able to do was get this ROM loaded, get this package manager, I don't even know what you call this thing, shell, to recognize the ROM and boot the game. And I was able to change some settings and show you guys the game running in 120 frames per second. I still don't know the controller configuration for this game.
Oh.
So all I did was boot the game and start it up and watch the opening cutscene and run around in the opening area at 120 frames per second. I have no clue, and I cannot quite figure out, because I'm trying to do it on my ROG Ally. I need to plug it into a PC and use an actual mouse and keyboard and try to legit set these controls up.
Or you can do what I did when they released it a couple months back and then put it on my Steam Deck and it plays fine on my Steam Deck. So
yes, there's also a Linux version of that also. I was gonna expound upon that. It's out for Windows, Linux, and I think Switch. If you have a Switch that is in a developer mode, because you're official Nintendo Switch developer and you've paid the developer fees, and you're able to have access to that on your official Nintendo Switch console. So we'll leave that up to you.
Of course.
Yes, of course.
Who hasn't done that?
I'm tempted to for one of my surplus Switches to switch it over to that and see what those look like. But I have there's also, what do they call the thing, a ship loader. There's also a separate executable that you can load mods into this Ship of Harkinian directly. And some of the videos, like, just go on YouTube and look at some of these, but you can load, like, you can separate these things out. So you can make like a full HD texture pack world, and then also like the 3DS model versions of Link. So it'll look like that super upscaled and updated version of Link with great looking texture pack and stuff like that. You can add an orchestral soundtrack over the MIDI soundtrack that was included in that. There's all sorts of cool stuff that you can add in through this this ship loader and the Ship of Harkinian shell, of course, should you own the official copies of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
It's the ROM hack we all dreamed of instead of Majora's Mask.
It also works for Majora's Mask, and that's on my list of shame. I know you love that one, and I have the
beautiful game,
version.
Amazing game.
It never bit me. It never grabbed me.
I love the darker themed Zelda games. They're always
I'm about to say,
my favorite.
I'm finding more and more that I like the weird ones.
Give me Link saving the princess in Hyrule. That's my jam. That's my typical.
Majora's Mask is an amazing game.
This coming from the person whose first video game ever was Link's Awakening, and I absolutely adore Link's Awakening and will defend it from
Link's Awakening is a good ass game.
Start to finish.
Nobody's taking Link's Awakening out of your hands.
It's borderline perfect. That may be on my Mount Rushmore. I love that video game. It's phenomenal. But on the ROG Ally, it plays at native 120 frames per second. It's kind of crazy when it comes up and you see Zelda playing well, not at 20. I didn't say 20 frames per second like we're all used to. I said 120 frames per second. It's drop dead gorgeous. I did note whatever I loaded in there. So famously in Ocarina of Time, if you wanted the iron boots, like for the water temple, you had to always go in the start menu and select the iron boots and go through all that. But if you guys look at that video I sent you, there's a D-pad item thing, almost like what they added to Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD on the Wii U, where you can just hit the D-pad and either swap boots or pull up the eyeglass thing in Wind Waker. You could just pull those straight up from the D-pad. So that, for some reason, that mod's in there. So I just got to look at this some more. This was a couple hours of tinkering, trying to get this up and going, and getting aggravated hearing the menu music over and over and over, and trying to get the controls mapped. I'm using a couple of years ago. I feel like it's been 6 or 7 years now. Cesar recommended this Logitech controller that's a USB based controller, but it has like a little mouse trackpad on the side. So I use that either on Steam Deck or ROG Ally when I'm trying to do something, because I get full mouse and keyboard support from one device. And I feel like it was recognizing that as my main input source. So I was editing another input source instead of just having the native controller. Like, I'm already using the ROG Ally. It's all there. A, B, X, Y, L2, R2, D-pad, the control camera, because you're supposed to be able to use that second analog stick as like a control vessel for that. Look at the video. Like I said earlier, look at videos of Ship of Harkinian running on a modern device. Even it runs on like the Retroid Pockets and some of those Android retro consoles that have come out, and it just looks great. The Verge wrote an article saying maybe the best way to play is not an official way, and I feel like the more we talk about these things on this show, that's kind of how it's getting there. Thinking Inside the Box says they own 5,338 Xbox 360 games. Yes, on original hardware, and they have played those on stream. So sometimes there's alternate methods to getting to those titles. They're not letting us do anything with Lost Odyssey anymore, so why not go out there and play it? Another game I've been playing is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Last I was telling you guys, I was in like what was that called? The Collapsed Expressway or something. I'm headed in between slum areas. I'm headed to Wall Market, which Don Corneo is the proprietor of, the owner of. It's kind of an area that's been walled off underneath the slums of below Midgar, like below the plates. And Shinra just kind of left them alone, kind of like, you guys roll yourselves. It's all debauchery down there. Just do your thing. And I ran around in Wall Market talking to various people. There's a group of 3 people called the Trio who can grant you audience with Don Corneo. And Don Corneo is apparently looking for a future Mrs. Don Corneo, which seems to be a frequent thing that comes up. So Cloud and Aerith, my cohort, we were following these leads. There's 3 people that you can talk to. Andrea, who is a man, and I can't remember what he's in charge of. There's Madam M, who is a like hand massage therapist. And there's Chocobo Sam. And I ended up somehow doing the Madam M thread. Like, if there's certain conditions that you meet, you get to do certain things. So she gave me a hand massage, and I had the volume on in my bedroom as I was playing this. And my spouse may or may not have inquired as to what exactly was happening. And I had to, I was like, look, I'm getting a hand massage. I had to show the ROG Ally. Like,
it's a very intimate hand massage.
Yeah. Very with, yeah. If you just listen to it, there's a lot of grunting and
yes,
moaning, and Madam M is describing the in-depth muscle massage that's occurring during this, and anyways, I end up doing this huge like arena fight. Like there's they call it Don Corneo's Cup. So it's like a World Cup thing, like a round robin tournament where you have to fight different creatures and things like that. There's a character named Johnny who I had met in one of the earlier slums, like very, very early in the game. He makes another appearance. You kind of bail him out early in the game, and he's now in Wall Market trying to make his way and still fumbling through life, but also being successful. Like he's able to function still somehow. And Johnny's kind of woven in between this. And I fought the hardest boss I fought in this game so far. It's called the Hell House. And it's very similar to a boss I remember from I feel like it was the Nibelheim section of Final Fantasy VII, the original PS1. It wasn't in that part.
The original one, I believe you fought in that tunnel going to Don
Really?
Corneo.
That's where it was?
If I remembered correctly, yeah.
And it wasn't the whole time I was like, I feel like this is in Nibelheim because there were physical attacks that would work against the house, and there were magic attacks that would work against the house. Okay. But it never made it simple enough or understandable enough to where I knew what I was doing. So I would use a spell against what I thought against would be the weakness on the house, and it would heal it. Like I would use fire, and then all of a sudden I'd see I would see it heal it by 500 points, and I'm like, God damn it! I'm not trying to heal the boss. Why would I do that? But I fought through all of those, and I'm on to the next bit from there. And they showed a little bit more of that Andrea character. Like he was not included. Like his face was shrouded early on, so I don't know what's going on there. But I'm moving on to the next bit of that story. Some weird stuff in there. Is the Honeybee Inn with like the think of them like the Playboy bunnies, but they're bees. So they have like these bee antenna and bee stingers out the back, but they still have like the heels and stockings and stuff.
So you haven't, or have you done the rhythm game yet?
I've not done a rhythm game. The Coliseum was just a melee bash.
Okay, your rhythm. There's a rhythm game mini game section that's coming up, so prepare for that. Where the shapes of your controller will fly around, and you've got to hit them at the precise moments and stuff. So
is that part fun or no? Not good.
While you're. If I remember correctly, it's dancing, singing, or something. Yeah,
I'm down for this. I'm totally down for this. So Cloud and Aerith, in the beginning, before they got to Wall Market, they saw Tifa. So they talked to Tifa in the back of this cart, and she said she was headed to Don Corneo's. And then the first contact inside Wall Market is a guy named Chocobo Sam. And he's like, oh, no, I already identified Tifa. She's headed straight to Don Corneo's. Like, you're not going to win this competition. And then this dynamic duo of Cloud and Aerith ends up winning the battle arena thing. Almost like so these two characters, was it Hotch and Koch or something like that? They're these announcers for the arena, and they pitch Aerith and Cloud as like star-crossed lovers. So almost like a Hunger Games type presentation of just pitching these characters and building it up for it's all for betting is what they're doing in this Wall Market area. I think that's it on that title until I keep playing. I'm loving this game. I love every fucking minute that I play of this game. I honestly don't have any complaints. I don't love the battle system still, but I'm not losing. Like, it's not getting in my way. I have it on story mode or easy mode or whatever they call it, and I'm going through the story, and I love the story and the music and the characters, and I'm still trying to buy the music when I go places. I have like 80 potions. I'm not hardly using potions and stuff, so that doesn't faze me. I want to get through this game and play when I'm playing and see where these characters go. I love Aerith so much. She's so comforting and like warm and just trying to encourage, and Cloud's being his asshole self. Like, I don't care about nothing. And that doesn't matter to me. And but he does care, and through the story bits and like the recollection of Tifa and things he thinks about, like there's something there. But they have written such beautiful, genuine characters, and some of my favorite movies and books and in any sort of media can be characters in a simple scenario, right? Like think of Romeo and Juliet. There's not a whole lot that happens, but you have these layers and layers of families and characters and history and interaction and love, and there's just all these different layers. And Final Fantasy VII Remake, it hits all of those, and they're just so well written and well voiced and well acted, and you genuinely care. Like I explored Wall Market for like 2 hours, just combing over everything, talking to everybody. There's a guy selling hot buns or something that taunts me the whole time, like a real salesman. He's like, come on, these hot buns are great. Are you too good? What do you mean you don't want one of these? Why are you walking away? Like he turns antagonistic, like he's trying to sell these things so bad. There's parts of this area that are closed off. Like I can't get past people. And I think either a story beat has to happen or it has to turn daytime, or there's some element that's not quite hitting yet in this area that I'm in that'll open up some of these areas. But, this is an amazing video game. The original PS1 game is one of my all-time favorite games, and I don't think this remake is doing it any injustice. I think it's elaborating on a lot of its strengths and really building towards the world and characters and music and all the things that made that PlayStation 1 game so special. Other than those two, the three of us played Left 4 Dead last weekend. What do we think of Left 4 Dead?
Yes, we did.
It was so much fun. Cesar
three
brought
of
up,
us plus friend of the show, Weesh.
Weesh was there too. And I've got to find him. That reminds me, because I'm going to see him tomorrow at some point. I need to find him that copy of 2. You guys ready to play 2 tomorrow, maybe? Or keep going on this campaign? Yeah, I'm down for anything.
I mean, 2 has everything, so I got to figure out where my copy is somewhere in here.
I love the
Cesar,
dialogue between the characters in 2.
It's even better in this one.
Yeah.
So sorry, if I find this one copy of Left 4 Dead 2 for Jeremy or Weesh, I will also find 3 copies. So let me know if you don't immediately locate yours, and we can link up tomorrow and maybe do something like that.
Looking right at it.
Cesar mentioned a couple of weeks ago, like the PvP thing. Maybe we got tired of it, or it's just kicking our shit in, or there's some sort of enjoyment level we kind of burned out on. And Cesar had mentioned like PvE maybe sounds pretty good. Maybe we'd look into that. So we all decided to play Left 4 Dead last weekend, and it was a lot of fun. Oh, Bush is in the chat. He said, "Wake the witch always." That's a Cesar mantra, I think.
We successfully always waking the witch.
All right, settle this debate between Buish and I. Are the characters, do they have different attributes and skill sets differently? Are they weighted differently? Because I feel like I don't
know. I don't think so, really.
Rant says no. I feel like I died faster than everybody, so I didn't know if that was because of my character choice or my gameplay.
Usually
I think it was
skill-based. Yeah, skill-based.
Yeah, I think it was always the fact. That we'd start hearing the trumpets and the tank would go like straight for you for some reason.
Oh man, they only see me. They only see me. Yeah. I was talking about how great PvE is, and then it's just a PvP. They're just after me. They only see me. They only see me.
The characters don't mean anything. The whole point of that game is like the game director is what it refers to. So depending on what they send to you. So.
We said, "Thank you, Brent." Nope, you suck to me.
Yeah.
That's not it. They only saw me. That tank was after me all the time. Every time they were after me.
It's 100%. That's like
I
some
just
people
kept
face a skill issue. So.
That's because I'm the host. I'm the host. Right?
That one session, I got like boomered back to back to back like 3 or 4 times.
See, that's why I can't street that, because if y'all watch me, it's just mostly just me sitting back and just watching y'all get fucked up, and I'm laughing. I'm like, oh god, this is gonna end well.
That shit is so much. It's so much fun. Just like fumbling through the areas and trying to figure out where to go and staying away from the witch until Cesar alerts the witch.
from a safe distance.
From a safe distance away.
Boy goes kills Richard first.
As you
Why
set
did
off
you kill
the
me?
trap.
I didn't even wake it up.
Like
She only sees me.
2 of the 3 times you shot her and she went straight for Richard.
Yeah, because I got the fuck out of there. I knew it was going to go for somebody else. I know what I'm doing.
Oh, it's like playing Double Dragon with SR. You're gonna get hosed in the end of it. But that was nonstop fun. I would keep playing that one if that's the avenue we go. I'm definitely down for more of that. I'm down for 2. Yep. But Left 4 Dead is incredible, and there's a Steam spring sale right now, and that 2-pack of Left 4 Dead games is extremely inexpensive. So
cheap.
Come on, Weesh, just fucking buy it. Buy PC.
I'm working on Bleach. I was meaning to show him Game Pass on ROG Ally because that was a eye opener for me. I pulled up the Game Pass app. Cesar, you steered me towards Avowed or something like that, and I was like, let me see what else is in here. And it's like every Assassin's Creed game is in that PC Game Pass. There's so much shit in there. It's absolutely insane how many games are in that Game Pass.
Avowed runs well on that ROG. It runs well because it does that FSR scaling automatically. When you go in there, it scales it where it runs 60 frames, so no issue. You don't really have to go in there and really make many changes. None.
Barely. Yeah. I mean, it ran beautifully on the Steam Deck, but that's a Valve thing. Bleach says $3,000 PC. No, $300 PC. ROG Ally will be $300 something. It will run beautifully on that.
And then you can spend another, I don't know, $20-$30 on like a little dock and get yourself a mouse and keyboard that you probably already have laying around your house, or spend the extra money and buy a dedicated controller for it. You can dock it to your TV if you want to.
I mean, the Xbox controller syncs to it, right? Pretty easily.
Yeah.
Or
you can do that.
8BitDo controller. Yeah, we all have controllers that work for them. And I just got a dock for like $20, I think. It didn't have an Ethernet port, but it matched my my ROG Ally. It was the same like white color. Maybe it was a JSOW, the same ones that make the Steam Deck accessories and stuff. I won't keep on this portable handheld PC rant, but those are my games played. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on the Sharp. I want to keep it calling it Sharp all the time. Ship of Harkinian shell for PC. Left 4 Dead on the Xbox 360 via Xbox Series X backwards compatibility. And Final Fantasy VII Remake on the ROG Ally. I'll hand it off to Cesar.
I don't have anything to add on our gameplay for Left 4 Dead. I mean, it's always standard Left 4 Dead. I think Left 4 Dead 2 is the one where I used to play online a lot, where people would find glitches, where like you just have to like hit the wall and then I'll see my character float up to the top so they can get away from the horde. There's like a lot of game breaking stuff down there. Was pretty hilarious. They're like, yeah, come over here and jump on my back and just keep meleeing the wall, and I'm just sliding up the wall.
They come after you like Days Gone, like a Days Gone horde?
No, I mean, we would prepare before we alert them. We would all get to an area outside the game map where they couldn't get to us, and we'd just sit there and shoot them down there, and then we would all survive. But one person would have to be the sacrifice and go down there and start the thing on there. There's a lot of
it's always press the button, start the elevator, start the off, whatever it is.
Yeah. So outside of that, I think I've Suikoden came out, so I started playing that.
Oh yeah, what do you think of that collection?
So like we were talking about earlier, like Chrono Trigger 1, this game is completely remade in Unity. So when I looked at it, this is a Unity license, so they did the sprite work in Unity. So everything's completely redone. This game is complete. Nothing has been ported over from the PS1 game from graphics wise. So the backgrounds are very similar to like those RPG Maker games, where it's like have that weird palette where it's very basic. But the character sprites are faithfully recreated, kind of like looking on a CRT screen back from that day. It looks done well. And there are some CG stuff sprinkled through there. So I think when I looked at it, this whole game has been rebuilt in Unity. Everything's been done in it. So this game has been completely rebuilt from scratch.
Is that a good
that's
combo?
probably why it took so long. It looks fine to me. It was weird at first, but after a while, just if you go back and forth, I mean, even the even the character portraits, when you're talking with the characters, they usually have a portrait on the left. They've redone that as well, so that looks cleaner too. I think they did a good job. I think that's why this game was announced, and we were like, "Damn, what happened to it? It disappeared." I think that was the reason why, because they redid this whole game. Every asset was redone in Unity, so it's nothing from the original PS1 version on there, or even the Windows 95 one, which even is crazier to play versus the PlayStation 1 version, because that one was like completely different.
For its changes, positive or negative, it's a new build going forward that can be adapted from there.
I think it hits it hits the resolutions it needs to hit on there. I think that's why they did what they did without having to worry about putting it in an emulator, and which my guess is probably what they did, and upscaling it, and doesn't look right, and you know, they just redid the game. So
right.
Outside of that, you start out the game with a nameless protagonist, so you can name it whatever you want. I think if you follow the novelizations of the book, I think tiers, what they call them in the books, if I remember correctly. So you can name them whatever you want. So you pop up in this I think it's called Gregminster's Royal Palace, and you're talking to your father Theo. He's about to introduce you to the Emperor Barbarossa, which is I think they changed his name in Italy. They changed it to Redbeard instead of Barbarossa, because Barbarossa is a no-no name in Italy. Yeah,
we named the monkey Jack.
For whatever reason. But outside of that, he kind of goes in there and introduces himself because he becomes of age, and you know, he's going to join the Imperial Army. So like, his father goes on there, and he's a general for the Imperial Army. He's like, I got to go up north to quell a rebellion. And so the main character goes back home, and he's basically living in a house where his father kind of like taking in some of these other people that he considered like they're not family related, but it's kind of like they met in other means, and they've kind of lived together and grown up together. So you have Gremio, which is kind of raised he's a character that's raised the MC since a child, kind of like a nanny-ish type person. And then you have Cleo and Pan, which are kind of like a people that have worked with Theo and trained with them, so they've lived in that same household. And then you have Ted, which happens to be the comedic relief in that version on there. He's supposed to be the main character's best friend. So as you go through there, you meet with a commander called Craze, which seems to be a guy that cuts corners within with the government. That's where you start seeing these weird lines breaking with the Imperial government over there, or the Imperial forces. So he sends you on like your first mission, where you have to go to Lenacamp, which is a island where you get these astral projections, and that's where the story starts to take off, because then you meet a sorceress there. And she kind of tells your fortune and say, hey, you know, I see big things in your future. You're gonna have a lot of hard times in there. You just got to stay true to yourself. And then they get back to Gregminster, and then Cray sends them off to the next area, which is Rockland, to collect taxes that were not paid. And then they go over there, and they find out that supposedly the taxes were not paid because bandits have supposedly been stealing from that Rockland city. So you go and capture these bandits and turn them in, and then you're done for the day. So throughout this whole mission on there, the character named Ted, which seems to be the comedic relief because he's always tripping or joking around. It's like, oh, don't leave me behind, guys. He uses a rune that annihilates a queen ant, like something that they couldn't beat. And so one of the Imperial forces that were kind of like following around notices this and reports it to Barbarossa. Has a fortune teller called Wendy, reports it to her. And so that's when the story starts to take off, because it finds out that he had a secret he wanted to tell the main character, and then they call Ted up and to speak to the Emperor. And so the rest of that family, like Gremio, the main character, all that, they go back home, they enjoy dinner, they're waiting for Ted to come back, and then he just shows up bleeding in the downstairs foyer. And he says that basically he passes out. So then he tells a story that he's been alive for 300 years. He has access to something that's called the True Rune. There's only 27 of them, which is runes are their abilities to cast magic. So there's 27 runes that they consider the True Runes, and then all the runes in there that everybody else uses are like copies of them. They're not real things. They're just kind of like mimics. So his is called the Soul Eater, and he's trying to hide it from somebody who Wendy, I think it's like a sorcerer or something like that, who's been looking for it for 300 years. Also, has been chasing him for 300 years. So he gives it to the MC, and then promptly gets taken in by the Imperial government as you run away and get away to escape. So from that point on, the story spins off until like where you end up meeting what they call the Liberation Army, which is Odessa. She's running it, and like some other characters in there, like Flick and some other ones, Sanchez, and basically they're going against the Imperial Army or the Emperor, and so he gets pulled into it, and then they have this bit where like the MC's like, well, his father's a general, then he should be mixing with these people and stuff like that, and then she's like, well, let me kind of like show you what's going on. So like they kind of show this world where like the Empire is not as great as it is. Like there's a lot of stuff on there that they live in a capital that they miss. So he kind of travels with her, where they have to go to a secret camp somewhere to deliver fire spears, which is something they need in their future battles. So he ends up bonding with Odessa, and some things happen, and I won't go into too many details, but the MC ends up becoming the leader of the Liberation Army. So, like I said, some story stuff happens. So at that point, the game takes off at that point, and you have to like go meet Odessa's brother. He's like a strategist that used to work for the Empire, and that's when the game you get your castle, like this what is known as Suikoden, because you get the 108 stars. So that's when you get your first castle, and then that's when you start recruiting, because like, all right, we got to do these battles, because you have what they call big battles, where basically it's like a rock paper scissors. So it's like you have I think magic beats standard attacks, and attacks beats bows, and it's that little
rock paper scissors thing.
Yeah. So like the whole point of that
Fire Emblem.
Basically, the whole point of that game is that you recruit these characters, all 108 of them, because that boosts up your big battles. Because if you're not careful, you have your characters in there, they'll perma-die. So once they perma-die, you can't get the perfect ending. So it's like you have to recruit as you go, because as you recruit, you get more battles, you get more abilities, you get more strengths and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the whole like story on there. So you go in there, and the MC is basically trying, as he gets pulled into this whole world, trying to like get the Emperor to see the errors of his ways. So like you go into this whole bit what they call the recruitment arc. So they call the castle on the lake, and that's where it is. It's on Lake Toran. You can name it Toran based off the books. And then you go searching for allies, and that's when you start getting into clashes with the Empire. And so at that point, that's when the big battles comes through, and then the story starts taking through on there, because you go through. I think there's a bit on there where you get pulled into helping elves and dwarves and kobolds, like different types of species that end up joining your cause. So I mean, I could keep going, because we'll probably be here for like another 30 minutes if I keep going, because I've only put 20 hours into it. I'm at the very end of the game.
Oh shit!
So
you're at the end.
Yeah, I got 95.
The first one, right?
Yeah, I got 95 characters. I'm missing like 13 or something like that. I almost got them all.
Golly.
So I play this game a lot. It's like memory for me. I just go through it. I already know what to do. Yeah. I already know what to do. I know which characters I gotta get. It's like, oh, you gotta be level 45 to get this character, or oh, I gotta find Opal to recruit this character, which I'm sitting there for 45 minutes fighting random enemies to get a random drop for Opal, so I can get this stuff, because there's two characters that are random drops, and I'm sitting there for 45 minutes fighting enemies, just trying to get the random drops, so I can go get to unlock these characters. So some of these characters you need stuff to unlock them with items. There's only 2 of those. There's some that will just join you when you speak to them. There's some that are level based, like, oh, you're not strong enough, come back when you're this strong, or hey, come back when your castle's level 4, or come back when you have 90 characters. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there as you go through. And you can typically know when there's a character that can join you is usually they have a portrait on the left-hand side. Most of your NPCs are just standard text box, but you'll know like, oh, this person is important. They might join me later, something, So, but I mean, at this point, I've been through the game. I've been through the generals. I just beat Necklord, which is a vampire that's been alive for 500 years. So like, there's a lot of storylines in there that they kind of like. It's kind of basic when they build in there. They kind of throw you in the game, but it gets deeper as it goes through. And so I think the whole goal and why they paired these two together, and what you got to remember is because I think Suikoden 3 or 4 is when they go back to the past and kind of like skip the timeline of where we're in now. So the thing you want on this game is that what they really were shooting for you to do is to get all 108 stars. To get the ending on this one, there are 12 characters that carry over into Suikoden 2, including the main character from the first game. And
I was going to ask, do you need to play the first one to play the second one?
What's crazy is the main character from the first game, you cannot even unlock him in the second game unless you transfer the save. He does not show up at all. So you have to have that save in there to unlock him. You miss that character altogether. He's not recruitable after that. So there's characters that have some story beats that continue on from the first game to the second one, because I think the second game takes place 3 years after the first one. So that's when a lot of that crossover stuff happens on there. I don't think they do it too much after the 2. I think that's probably why 1 and 2's kind of been bundled together.
Okay.
But
3 and 4 are separate entities, except for the flashback stuff for the one you were saying.
Yeah, but real quick, I talked about going through the forest with the elves, and then you get pulled into Scarletta's battle, which is another general one. I mean, a lot of it just goes on there, and you end up losing. I mean, you end up some character changes and stuff like that, depending on the story on there. So, and I think the last thing I just did, I'm going to skip a couple of parts in here because I don't want to be here all night. But the last thing I just did was, like I just said over here, was I beat Necklord, who was a vampire who was working with Wendy. I guess they've been working together for the last 300 years, but he's been alive for 500. And I think one of the characters on your team, when you talk about, like one of the characters on your team, Victor, he's like, I've been hunting Necklord for the longest time. He's like, I can finally get my revenge. Like, he was in my town, and he turned them all, my whole family, into zombies, and they were eating each other. It's like, I've been trying to kill this guy for a long time. So it's like you end up getting like the little story bits like that just kind of pop up on there. And we had to go to this, what they call the Cave of Past, where it sent us to the past, and we got more of the storyline of like when Ted showed up and how we got the rune and all that stuff on there. And then we had to get to what was called the Celestial Sword, which is a sword that's living. And that was the only sword that could do damage on Necklord, because as soon as you hit him, it made him vulnerable, because it was a light base.
Like a Master Sword type thing, or a Final Fantasy light sword, yeah.
So that's where I just left off at, was I just beat him, and then Victor said he finally got his revenge. He just left my team because he wanted to go back to his hometown and let everybody know that he finally got revenge on Necklord, who just murdered everybody in that town, that I guess the survivors there. So he wanted to let them know what he had done. And so now I'm at this bit now where, like, each chapter, like, there's major battles and there's like a slow bit. And I'm in the slow bit now where I have to recruit the dragon riders, which are these people who ride dragons. So it's like, it's not a very long chapter. Because it's like you do the Dragon Rider, and then you go into the next chapter, which is the final battle with the generals, and then you go into the very end of the game. So I probably got like another 5 hours. So
I only hear about the second game. This game sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, the first game's really good. Yeah, the second game is, I think they took everything from that first game and put it to 11. That's why I think the second game has been a lot on it, because the MC has more dialogue. He has more of a relationship with both of his childhood friends, Joey and the girl. They all three of them, like they grew up together. They all interact with each other more. More of like a family type thing. With this one, it's kind of like, oh, we live together. Oh, that's like, you don't get a lot of the story. There's some deep story beats in this one, but then there's sometimes like you don't really hear like how Cleo and Pon met the main character. Like, other than that, oh, they met through his father. And they're there, like that. In the second one, they kind of expand a lot of that stuff on the character building on that one. And what made it even blew the second one out of the water was just the whole ability to transfer the save from the first one. And you're like, shit, I did all this building on these characters from the first game and bring them over to the second one. And not every one of them come over. I think it was like 12, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But like all the main ones, like Victor, Flick, the MC, Pon, Cleo, like these characters you kind of build a relationship with, just carries over to the second game and just gets integrated in this other world in the second game. So that's what makes Suikoden very unique at the time. So, but yeah, that was probably all I played this week so far, because I've been hammering away that every night. So
I need to know about this vampire. Why is he working 500 years later? Why did he not retire at like 55 or 60?
So he got turned into a vampire because he had a rune that turned him into one. And so what he was doing, he was kidnapping, as most vampires do, was kidnapping virgin females and marrying them and then killing them and drinking their blood. So like that whole beat was like you had to go
good life,
save a girl from the warriors village who was about to succumb to that whole thing. So
okay,
but
that storyline for this one sounds amazing.
Yeah, I kind of threw some stuff out there because there's some spoiler stuff that you'd probably be better off experiencing when you play in there. But I didn't go into much detail on that stuff. I kind of skipped around.
Still, the PC one's still 37 on Fanatical. I might go ahead and jump on that to support it, and then get the physical PS5 later down the road.
Yeah,
what are you playing on, by the way?
PS5.
And it looks good, plays well, saves are solid, and
I fired it up on Steam Deck too. I mean, on Steam, that plays fine too. So if you wanted to do that, you can. I don't know if that's a Xbox Anywhere game, Because I mean, if you're gonna buy it on a ROG, I would just say get it on the Xbox, the Xbox store.
I don't think it's 37 like Fanatical though. That's what I'm up against.
Yeah. That's the only catch-22. Because I mean, the only good thing about the Play Anywhere is if you do play on console, you can just fire up your save just there. So, but I don't think it's an Xbox Play Anywhere game anyway. So
we didn't put it on the news, but they just announced a bunch of more games for the Play Anywhere program. Yeah. I keep looking for Lost Odyssey in there.
I think that 361's having a hard time.
Between you and Thinking Inside the Box, I'm forever looking at Lost Odyssey to see what it's coming to.
Hey man, the day when it comes on other platforms would be awesome. But
I'm ready to buy.
That is my that is what I call that's my first Suikoden one, which is the Gate Rune one. So
sounds good.
Yeah. And I'll give it over to Brant.
Brant Key.
I'll start with a couple games acquired real quick.
Oh yeah.
Of course, just like Cesar said.
There it is. Day 1 edition. Suikoden or Suikoden? Where do we settle on this?
Suikoden. Suikoden.
Yes.
Okay. Suikoden. We're in Atlanta. Suikoden.
Suikoden. Shadow of the Damned.
There it is. Shadow of the Damned.
Hella remastered.
That Suda joint
for PS5.
Have you played that yet, Brant?
No, I have not.
I'm sitting on the PS3 360 one still. It's like, do I play this one? Like, I didn't notice any issues with this last time I played it. I need the remaster.
I got halfway through the PS3 one. That one seems to play fine outside of the EA publishing one. Yeah.
I played a couple hours at that one, yeah. I didn't, like I said, I didn't notice anything like, oh man, it wasn't like Dishonored.
Outside of Suda 51 hating that EA CEO.
Mm-hmm.
Where he made fun of him.
Was that who it was at the time?
Yeah.
John
made fun of him in future games, Silvercase. There was a whole character based off him that was giving shit too.
That's right. He wrote him into the Silvercase.
Yeah, just to talk shit about him. Yeah. That's how much he hated him. He's like, nah, I'm not gonna let this go.
Everybody did at a certain point. He's gone, right? Like he's not EA anymore. Yeah.
Hey, didn't he go like he went to Unity and then he left Unity after he fucked that up?
Blind boxes under Unity.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, we're gonna charge for all these different models now. There's different tiers of Unity. Yeah.
Unity as a service.
Yeah.
Brant, these are good buys so far.
Last but not least, which also takes me into games played, because of course getting this in had to pop it in and play it. I have yet another Famicom Disk System game.
Ooh. Castlevania. Friend of the show, Buish has been playing Castlevania.
So yeah, you want to talk about good music and Cesar's
That's all we hear. It's the soundtrack we know and love.
That was a bat knocking me off the cliff.
Cesar, let's get to the Medusa level.
I'm gonna say those fucking Medusa heads. It's always the Medusa heads.
Oh, it was a bat in Ninja Gaiden on NES that killed me all the time, just trying to make that damn jump. Every time I walk, the one I'll just walk up to the ledge and nothing there, but as soon as I jump forward, some bats flying at me. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Yeah.
And this is Mega Man. Everybody else loves Mega Man. This is Mega Man for me too. Mega Man's nonstop knockback. Oh sure, this is clear. Let me jump. Something comes out of nowhere, and Mega Man's like,
yeah.
Oh, Buish says F the Mummy Bros.
He makes that stupid face every time he gets knocked back too. Mega Man always makes that like face.
Buish says F the Mummy Brothers. Brant, what is different about the Famicom Disk System of Castlevania that you can elaborate on for a friend of the show, Buish?
So far, I notice a difference in the quality and the sound of the music.
Sound is usually the main standout.
But I mean, in my time messing with these Famicom Disk System games, I can understand Nintendo's hesitation when people were talking about discs being the next generation and they were worried about load times, just because some of the times when you have to flip these. Of course, you had to physically flip these discs over. I think they were just focused on like, oh yeah, we did discs for the Famicom, and then those discs were, the load times on those they weren't terrible, I guess, but considering.
I mean, but that's the bus speed for that 8-bit machine, and
they're used to, okay, we put the cartridge in there, flip it on, and boom, it's there, and boom, you're in the level, and then you finish the level, boom, next level. They wanted that rapid back to back to back.
You almost wonder, and you have the Sharp Famicom, so yours is all built into one, right? The twin Famicom. You wonder if
yes,
there it is. Cesar added the Castlevania death theme to the to the soundboard there,
and the Mega Man.
You almost wonder, Brand, if that's something, because if you had a regular Famicom and you bought the like stackable Famicom disk system, if there's something they could improve in that cable for that bus speed. And then those load times aren't as obvious as that. You think American gamers were impatient during that time? Like, what was the whole? I was too young.
Yeah, we never got that over
around.
here.
Yeah, I was too young for that when the Famicom disk system was a thing. And Cesar would have been in the PAL territories, and he never got it either.
The Famicom disk system, I think, was one of those things that came a little bit later.
Yeah,
and it was one of those, and it just didn't. It doesn't seem like they had a lot of releases. Some of those like big main releases they had, like Metroid and gosh, I'm trying to remember which are the other ones, like the
Legend of Zelda was
Legend of Zelda was a big one too, because you could save everything. Yeah, you could save everything to the disc. You didn't have to worry about it. And then also they, did that writable program where you could go to the 7-Elevens and go to the kiosk and write your games and all that, because that was Nintendo did a lot of playing around with that, and then of course they went on to do like the whole broadcast system with the Super Nintendo and
Satellaview.
Yeah, the BS.
So, I wonder sometimes, because the Famicom cartridges were yay high.
Oh yeah, they were small.
And the NES cartridges were yay high, and the early NES games included a Famicom cartridge on the inside with like an adapter to get to the 72 pin. And then the way the NES grew, instead of getting like a PS4 Pro or a Xbox Series X type enhancement, they added chips into that space that they had inside that cartridge. So you started getting like, I think they're called the MMC brand. So you had like MMC 1, 2, and 3, and you would get like Kirby's Adventure on the NES. If you had put that on an original Famicom ROM, it's not running on that thing. You have to have the chip enhancement that were on. Think of it like an early Super FX from the Super Nintendo. There were ways to build out that ROM inside the cartridge that made that machine way more capable than it normally would have been beforehand. And I feel like the Famicom disk system kind of took that brunt in Japan. And then this is also the era combined with that of like, we got things 2 or 3 years later. That's how we end up with the Final Fantasy 2/4 and 3/6 fiasco, where they're way ahead on this numbering scheme and we're just now getting these. And part of that's translation and popularity and sales and market value and share and all that stuff. But some of that is like the lift of translating that stuff and bringing it over and then trying to decide. You had 2 separate houses of Nintendo of Japan, Nintendo of America, where one entity thought something would be successful and another might not. So it was a balance of 2 separate houses there. But these differences that we can look back on in like the Nintendo Music app, or they highlight some of the differences. Like Brant, go back to that last episode. He played some of the differences for us for that Legend of Zelda theme, and it's unmistakably 8-bit, right? But it is so much above the Nintendo cartridge that we got for that Famicom disk system theme. It just sounds glorious. That extra layer of audio just adds so much to it. Those extra channels.
So yeah, I messed around with that for 2-3 levels. And then
got to the Medusa heads.
Got tired of being knocked off the every ledge by a Medusa head.
Yeah, it's usually it for me. Me and Cesar's playthroughs usually end at the Medusa heads. Fuck this game.
Game's unbeatable.
Yeah, we had our Left 4 Dead run, which was fun. And then
we doing it again tomorrow?
Hell yeah. And then actually we've brought up several times in this episode talking about what's the best way to play a certain game, and all these remasters and all these different things. Well, after the announcement of the Tony Hawk 3-4 remaster.
Oh yeah. Almost forgot about that.
It started coming out that technically it's 4 is being kind of scaled back, because 1, 2, and 3 were your typical Tony Hawk pro skater formula, where you dropped in, it got you 2 minutes, you had your list of things to do, find the skate letters, find the secret tape, do high score, all this.
Right.
And 4 was this breakout new thing where they dropped you into this open level, and you had the NPCs sitting there, and you could free skate around the whole level, and then go up to an NPC and talk to them, and they, you might have Ollie, the crazy character Ollie, the magic bum, asking you to do, to impress his friends with, however many combo tricks you can do, and all this stuff, and you might get a timer of 2 minutes, you might get a timer of a few seconds, and as you complete or collect, whatever they're telling you to collect, you get a couple more seconds added to your time and whatnot. And aside from them saying that will be cut, and they are just doing 2-minute runs for both 3, 4, I had to go back and play it and get that feel, and I was like, I played a little bit of 3, and then I jumped into 4.
Would you play those on? Just out of curiosity.
Booted them up through EmuDeck on Steam Deck. And it was such a big jump for that series to do, and I know they did a really good job with the original Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake. It felt really good. They added some of the modern touches from 2 to 1, and all of that, and but in my mind, those original games are still the definitive ways to play them, because you have the full original track lists, you have the full original skaters and things, because obviously this time around they didn't get what was it? You had skaters like Darth Maul and Jango Fett and
Star Wars peak prequel trilogy hype.
Wolverine, I think, was one of the playable characters in 3, and it was something back in the day, like, oh, a new Star Wars is coming, let's do kind of like a cross promotion, let's put your character in our Tony Hawk game. The Tony Hawk games are so popular, it'll be good PR for your new prequel movies. As of now, Disney's like, oh, you want to use our characters, you're gonna pay us a good chunk of change. So I'm sure that was something they looked at and were like, that's out of our price range.
Which this is my own mania. Which versions are you playing on EmuDeck? Is it PS2 or Xbox or GameCube?
I have the PS2 versions,
PS2
which is
versions?
what I grew up with.
I saw it. You're talking about the track list, and they just did a big thing, and that's games these days where they'll unveil the track list, and you can play it on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, YouTube Music, right? But it has like Kendrick Lamar. I'm like, yeah, Kendrick Lamar is a great artist, but I don't think he was in Tony Hawk 3 or 4.
Yeah, they update. They get what they can, and then they add some more modern music and stuff. And I don't hate that, but. And Inside the Box also said the OG is the only way to play those. And then he also commented about the fact that they could always add them. He said, "Now buy the skin for $40." So that's something they could do.
Sure. But it's the convenience of playing it on modern platforms. Not everybody has an Xbox or a 360 sitting around, right? That's the whole thing.
And I guess the mentality is, because this game is going to sell. The first one, 1 and 2, did great, did gangbusters. It was crazy that Vicarious Visions didn't get to continue with 3 and 4 like they had intended.
Vicarious Visions.
I would assume that these are going to sell very well again.
And it's in Game Pass day one, right?
Yeah, and we will get the American Wasteland games, which those were also kind of that open world feel. Like you could get off your board in that game. That was like the bigger thing. Plus you created your own character, and there was a unique story and all this to it. So I guess that they're saving that leap, I would assume, for that game, and just. But in the end, to me, it kind of it subtracts a lot of what made 4.
Right.
So it was. I don't know. It's cool that I have a way to play these games because, like I said, I played it on EmuDeck. Anybody can boot it up in an emulator. I also. I'm looking at my original copies over here that I had growing up. So, but not everybody has that.
Game, I think, right? Wasn't that the last one to come out for 64?
I remember 2 and 3. 1, 2, and 3 on the 60. On the 64. I don't remember 4.
I feel like 4 did.
I don't remember because 1, 2, and 3 also came out on PS1. 3 was that kind of cross-platform 1 and 2 release. I think 4 was only on GameCube.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the game was released in 2002 for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Game Boy Advance. You are correct. I must be thinking of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 for 64.
Yeah.
Pro Skater 3 came out for PlayStation 2, Game Boy Color, GameCube, Xbox, Game Boy Advance, Windows, Mac OS, and Nintendo 64. That was it. That was the last one.
That 3 was that kind of cross-generation game where you could play it on the last gen hardware, but you wanted it on, that new PS2, the GameCube, your Xbox and all, so it was definitely a much better game. But other than that, that's all I really had time for. I didn't have time to get into much.
Do you think you'll try out this the Game Pass version of this 3+4 just for comparison?
No doubt. No doubt, I will buy it. Because I wanna support it. And I think it will be a good game. Plus, they're adding levels and things like that as well. So it'll be great for that content.
Yeah.
Doom guy, I think, was in.
It's weird.
Oh gosh, Doomslayer was in. I want to say 4, but he was like a PC exclusive.
It's weird to me.
Originally,
I'm like, is this what we're getting with these purchasing of studios? We're going to get these crossovers like
so
this?
Well, he's in the game now, so I doubt they'll add the Neversoft eyeball guy in there, but
the Revenant or somebody else.
The Revenant
from Doom.
Oh no, the Neversoft eyeball.
Oh, that eyeball, yeah.
Yes, the original developers of
the Neversoft eyeball.
Yes, he was a playable character in. I want to say 3. It's just the giant eyeball on like a weird little patchwork, like sewn together body. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna support it. Obviously, I think it should be supported. It just like I said, it's I wish they would have kept 4 more of that like open world style. But I kind of get it, because when they mashed 1 and 2 together, it was kind of they just kind of flowed into each other.
Yeah,
and you could go to either back and forth. So I guess they wanted to kind of keep it seamless, more streamlined. Well,
that 1 and 2, thinking inside the box is still here. So Tony Hawk 2X launched with the Xbox, and that was like Tony Hawk 1 plus 2. Was there not a 3+4 style? Like, is that what they're trying to almost emulate here? Is like what that would maybe a 4X would have been? Yeah. Feels like they're they have to apply the same engine across both in there, unless they're gonna have 2 different launchers. More Tony Hawk is good, right? Just do it justice.
Unless it's what was that, Project Skate or
hey, I'll boss
Tony Hawk.
Plastic.
Oh, Tony Hawk. What was it? Tony Hawk 5 was
Proving Ground.
Tony Hawk Ride with the
Tony Hawk Ride. That's what it was.
Skateboard peripheral.
Yeah,
those were not great games.
Did y'all mess around with that skateboard peripheral? Did you ever get one of those?
No.
Cesar, did you have one of those?
No.
You play a Lupe Fiasco as you're on the skateboard?
And now with the custom soundtracks.
That I would play. I'm down for that. What was that Push? Push was the name of that song?
Yeah, it's that first one. That first album came out with.
Yeah. That was a good record. All right, is that it for us? Games played and news. We're complete. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this week, and we will catch you next week. Bye.
See you.
Adios.